Slave bought by skeleton becomes lover, becomes monster, re-becomes lover. Boom. That's everything you need to know about season 1. That is exactly what happened in season 1. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, you're missing like the evil bad guy. That's like the part where she's kind of like.
Well, she became a monster. Kind of.
She's immortal. She's a slay baggy.
It sounds wrong when you say.
I mean, that's literally what she's called.
So all I'm saying is like, hey, we're back. Cross-Examine episode 129, if I remember correctly. We're back with our C list this week. We're going to be talking about that time we got picked up by Insomniac in the dungeon. No, it's Insomniacs After Dark, Ancient Magus Bride Season 2, and then we're watching Mashle, Magic and Muscles, and then Tonikawa Over the Moon for You Season 2. So there's a lot of Season 2s. I think by the time next time we talk about the C list, I think Kubo won't let me communicate.
We'll be back.
We'll be back. I think that's where, because that's 3 weeks from now. Yeah, I think it'll be back by then, which would be episode 7. Do you want to take it away? Because you're number one on your, we're going to watch Insomniacs on there.
Yeah. Insomniacs After School After Dark. How dare you?
I don't know. Leave me alone. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I literally didn't have the tab open on there. Listen.
I like the show a lot.
It's a Make-A-Wish love story.
A Make-A-Wish love story?
It's a Make-A-Wish love story.
How?
It's mid. Oh my God, we're going to join the astrology club in
astronomy.
No, I know it's astronomy, but I'm making a joke about it. It's an astrology club. So, listen, all that's happened, there's 3 episodes, right? We watched 3 episodes of everything. So episodes 1, 2, 3, minus Tonikawa, 0 through 4 on there.
0 through 3. We didn't watch 4.
So yeah, 0 through 3. Sorry, 4 episodes total there. No, but this love story, maybe. We don't know yet. All that's happened in 3 episodes, and I'm getting tired from this, is, hey, you like to sleep during the day, I like to sleep during the day, and let's be buddies. That's the staple of their relationship right now, minus she drooled on his dick, which made for some interesting clips.
Your crotch is...
Well, she gets up, and it's like the entire budget for the episode is just this drool, and she's like, sorry, I drooled, after she gets off his crotch. She's like, oh, you're too close. It's like, bitch, you're the one that fell asleep on his dick. It's not my fault. It's not his fault.
I like the show a lot.
Why do you like the show?
Well, specifically the kind of idea of like insomnia. It's
Justus used to work overnights, and he's all about the nightlife.
I mean,
I can't sleep.
Dude
needs like 10 hours to sleep a night.
Well, when I first started working overnight, I was just going to bed or 5 a.m., 5:30, like sometimes 6. So when they told me that I would be working night shift, it's like, cool, that's basically when I'm up anyways. So
called being lazy.
No, like I just couldn't sleep.
I'm sorry that you can't sleep in your week. I'm pretty sure these kids have never heard of melatonin before in their life.
I mean, we have a mutual friend that took melatonin recently and then still stayed up till 3 a.m. So it doesn't matter. Melatonin isn't like the go-to, it's going to put you to sleep.
Okay, to be fair, that dude takes like 15 times the recommended daily caffeine intake for his breakfast. So there's a reason why he's probably still, that melatonin's fighting for its life, trying to put this man to bed when he's got like a resting heart rate of like 500 beats per minute.
Yeah, but melatonin ain't all it's cracked up to be. It's a sleep aid. It can help you get to sleep, but if you already have trouble sleeping, it's not going to put you to bed.
Well, this dude's complaining like, first of all, he complains he can't sleep because, I can hear the dogs. I can hear the doors opening. I can hear birds chirping. It's like, first of all.
Have you not had that problem?
No, because I close my window, Justus.
Or even with the window closed, you can still hear that stuff. You act like
the dude is on
a window.
The dude is on the 9th floor of the building. Mm-hmm. 9th floor. We had our window open in the apartment in the hotel. On the 9th floor, you could hear like horns if they're real loud, but it's not loud enough that it's gonna wake me up in my sleep.
We weren't on a main street.
What are you? Okay.
I could hear the train.
You could hear the train because the train's loud as hell, and that's an exception on there. But it's not like, listen, a lot of the stuff we were on was built pretty durable. So I feel like his problems could be solved by moving to a slightly better apartment complex to where there's slightly more insulation. Or not have his window open.
So your solution boils down to, hey, stop being poor.
No, I mean, no, not really. It's like he's just living in a shitty place.
You should move. You should stop being poor.
Maybe he's not poor. Maybe he just picked a bad place on there. I'm saying his problem.
He's a high schooler.
His reason for I can't sleep at night was dumb in the first episode. Like, oh, stuff wakes me up, and that's why I'm always up.
I mean, I've have those nights where I'm laying in bed and it's
you're just a light sleeper though, super light. But it's like his solution, like the reason they should have just given a better solution of like, oh, he just has trouble sleeping and like the smallest thing kind of wakes him up, which is why he's always up during the night. But during the day, he can just sleep, do just something, because he sleeps perfectly fine during the day.
I mean, yes,
in class while people are doing class projects, and he's using hey, my friend forgot to give me a blanket method of let me put a cardboard box over my body to fall asleep in class.
Look, he's still proficient. Like, he did exactly what he needed to. He did the work of 3 people by himself before they even finished. He makes a point of that.
Wait, he grabbed some boxes?
No, he made the 2 tombstones entirely by himself before they even finished one.
I mean, he could have done a poor quality. Maybe they're doing like some real artsy pieces on there. Anything looks good to you.
Well, art style. Do you like it or not?
I don't know. I just kind of feel something like out of... How do I describe it? You know how an Akabe sale uniform would be lower animation? Not saying this is low animation quality, but Akabe had like really high animation quality scenes.
Mm.
Their normal animation quality in the show is what this feels like. I don't know who did this. I mean, I'll look it up.
It's Leiden Films.
It's also licensed by Sentai, by the way, so it would be on sale.
I don't know about the art style. Every so often, like some of the night scene stuff, some of the like backgrounds look really nice. And then the characters, like they have moments where they look good. And at one point you see a kind of third party character who used to go to the school. Her name's Yui. When you first get introduced to her, it's like, who's this Discount Nier from Death Note character? And then you're like, oh, it's a girl. Okay, that's like. And then they finally have more close-up shots. And
do you think of no other white hero anime character on there?
Short-haired, like white-haired?
Yeah.
No. That's the one I go to, especially because
not even the main character for the girls that pick up. Is it wrong to pick up girls in a dungeon?
No, because that one's lame.
That's like the most popular one right now. You pick the most.
Death Note isn't more popular.
Death Note's from like 2000. What I said more popular now. That time I picked up girls in dungeon is 100 times more popular than Death Note from 2008.
No,
Nier that was in there for like 3 episodes.
He was in there for half. What?
Sorry, I was looking for. I thought I had a figure of someone with white hair that's shorter white hair.
I mean, I've got one with white hair, but it's long white hair. Yeah, I just thought it was kind of like the art style looks good. Also, at one point, they started heavily talking about cameras. It's like, no, you need to like set the f-stop to this and like
it's
all
literally.
ISO.
I thought of you immediately.
Take notes.
I thought of this immediately when it came up because Justus took videos. Whoa, them turn out so dark, or they turn out real grainy because this dude's like, yo, let's just crank this ISO up.
I cranked the ISO up a little bit because I didn't have a tripod with me at certain.
You had it at 5400.
Yeah,
that's a lot. That's not a little.
Well,
800, which is what these are set to, is a little. 5400 is a lot, my dude. Officer, I wasn't speeding, sir. You're going 35 over the speed limit. It could go up
to 16. It's fine. It was less than half.
Oh my God, yeah, less than half. Just because your odometer.
Tell me I'm wrong.
Your odometer says 160 miles per hour doesn't mean you're going to go 80 and a 35.
Well, the problem that
I was for the whole odometer, I'm going to use the whole odometer.
The problem I was continuously having is the f-stop. I was having trouble kind of getting that at a perfect point because my hands shake a little bit. So everything would come out blurry. So eventually I was like, fuck it. And then like cranked that higher while increasing the ISO. So that way I could get decent enough photos. Because I got a couple that I like. But like I didn't mess with it as much as I should have. I only took the camera out when we were in Tokyo
taking notes
for
of this.
one day.
You best be taking notes of this whole thing. It's sad. You brought your whole camera bag and everything. Use your camera once.
Yeah. Also, let's be honest, our cameras specifically using a micro four thirds, like they're not great for low light. They're really not.
You're not great with low light.
I mean, are you gonna tell me that I'm wrong? That these are good in
I mean, my
super low light?
D7500 was micro four thirds, yeah, and I used it for low light.
Yeah, but is this good for low light?
You were talking about the sensor size. It's the same sensor. It is literally the same. This sensor uses the same thing, and that Nikon does.
It's not the exact same. What?
It is the exact same sensor.
No, what?
Nikon buys sensors from other people. Listen, that's all I'm saying. We're talking about cameras right now.
I mean, even if it's not the same sensor, it's been agreed upon that the low light on this thing sucks.
No, it's just user error.
Yeah, okay.
That's literally why they have that. When they even talk about it in the show, it's like, yeah, set it there for 20 seconds, it absorbs a lot of light.
Yeah, but if I'm holding it in my hand, which is why they also recommend having a tripod that I didn't have.
Yeah, a lot of low light stuff you're going to have with a tripod, or sorry that you got Shaky McGee hands on there. He just wants it not to be
that way.
He wants it not to be his fault that he can't use it in low light.
I still took a couple decent photos, and you're like,
I did a whole bunch in low light. Exact same camera. I'm just saying out there. Listen, also the characters are pretty plain in the show. Her whole personality revolves around, like, the reason why they're cool hanging out, then they had to make an astronomy club in order to hang out in this giant telescope. What's it called again? Observatorium. On a school, first of all, and I was like, this is a pretty decent sized observatorium. We have this giant telescope that the old astronomy club used that no one's in it anymore.
She spread a ghost thing so that way no one would go.
But that was just that year because they're first years. So she spread it right when she got there.
Yeah.
So that means everyone from third year, they didn't do any recruiting for it seems like 2 years. Everyone left. The teacher was like, it's such a waste to let it go. Then they make the offhand comment of, it's a prestigious Japanese school known for science from the government. We need to use this. It's like, well, okay, cool. Then you guys should have been using it over the summer. You should have been recruiting people. It's not these kids' fault. Mm-hmm. And the best part about this whole 3 episodes is the teacher finds out they're up there. It's like, oh no, the teacher found out about our hideout. And she's like, are you two having sex up here? And they're like, no. And it's like, okay, cool. As long as you're not having sex, it's cool by me on there. Shout out to that teacher on there, the school nurse.
I wasn't expecting them to immediately jump to like, yo, you boys boning?
I mean, they got the whole hideout thing going. Are you guys having sex up here? It's like, I mean, no one's up here. She was slobbing on his knob, it seems like. Listen, they cut away. You don't know. Maybe she could have. If she fell asleep. She's got insomnia. I mean, all in all, that's all I got to say about the episodes. Mine is like when they went to go visit Yui, she was like in the middle of bum nowhere inside like an arcade bar. They're like, oh, it's a restaurant. It says it's open. They go in. It's like a huge, like Japanese. Can't confirm arcades are that loud in Japan. It's just annoyingly how loud they are. Then they go in a car. There's a
bra just hanging.
Just like, whoop. Nope. It's like, wait a minute. That bra doesn't match that. Hold the phone here.
I'm excited to just see where it goes. I know we're moving on.
Hey, speaking of bras, though, Chise probably doesn't wear a bra. I don't know where I was going.
That was real bad.
Well,
on a list of bad segues,
I'm trying to convince Justice to watch a show called Mashle, which I'll talk about next. He's like, I don't want to watch it. I watched 30 goddamn episodes to catch up to the show so we could both talk about it because he was like, we need to talk about this. And it's like 30 episodes to catch up on there.
Because there would be 2 shows this season that I would be talking about by myself if you didn't.
Yeah.
Versus 1 show that you'll talk about next versus the other show that I'm talking about.
No, to be fair, I was going to add 2 shows I was going to watch by myself. They would have both been on the C list. And he was like, nah, we already got too much already because Kubo won't let me communicate or Kubo won't let me
be invisible.
Sorry. And I was like, oh, okay, because they're watching Kubo. We got 5 shows there, blah, blah, blah. So I still watched 30 episodes. And to be fair, 2 seasons ago, I did watch 3 individual episodes, and he only watched 1. So just saying. I did watch a bunch of episodes by myself on there, so he could, maybe pick up the pace on there.
No.
Synopsis on what I'm going to summarize all 24 episodes of season 1 in like 2 or 3 sentences. You ready for this? Slave bought by skeleton becomes lover, becomes monster, re-becomes lover. Boom. That's everything you need to know about season 1. That is exactly what happened in season 1. Tell me I'm wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, you're missing like the evil bad guy. That's like the part where she's kind of like.
Well, she became a monster. Kind of.
She's immortal. She's a slay baggy.
It sounds wrong when you say it.
I mean, that's literally what she's called.
So all I'm saying is like, Justus keeps picking shows where there are slaves that are owned that are main characters. This show
came out years ago.
Yeah, and you picked it again because there's a slave in it, just like you picked Vinland Saga.
It's one of the most popular shows. No,
just saying his track record would prove different. That Justus likes love stories with slaves in there.
Matt likes lollies.
No, what? There's no proof of that.
Crazy.
No, what? No.
Crazy.
Speak of the devil.
14.
How old are all those? How old are all those characters?
Well, C2's a couple hundred years old.
Oh, she just looks like she's 14, but she's
she's legitimately like immortal.
No.
Similar to
lowly
Chisei.
means small.
And young.
Yeah.
And young. None of these characters are young.
Oh, it's okay because she's 1,000 years old. It's okay because she's 700 years old. It's okay because she's dead. It's okay because she's retarded.
Well, none of those are like inappropriate outfits.
What do you mean inappropriate?
Really? What about the one on the
Are you appropriating women that can't wear whatever outfit they want?
She's
wow,
14.
Justice, that's pretty messed up that you can't wear what you want.
That's a child.
You're a child. Yeah. Sir. Hey, back to Magus. Sorry, I'm just doing time check on there. Listen, it's pretty boring.
Really?
I'm gonna be real. They spent a whole episode just talking. Like when they're doing that whole college thing, it's a whole episode of talking. Then they do another half episode of like a lot of talking compared to coming off of watching everything in season 1 in a course of like 3 days.
Yeah, but
no, put it in perspective. There was a lot of talking in the like first couple episodes, but it's like, oh, there's a lot of action. It's like we get back into it. It's like, let's sit and just talk about college class. And the most interesting thing that like I felt like really happened was when they're in that class. It's like, hey, don't be mean to these monster things, or if they tell you no, you stop. And then the lizard turned big, and then
almost murdered someone.
Yeah, and Ilias was like, "Oh, I'll save you. This is what I really look like."
Mm-hmm.
And then they mentioned, God, there was that one point where there was that one girl. They're in the cafe, right? The cafeteria. This is after it, right? And then Ilias said something like, "If you don't want to be in this, might as well quit now." And then all the students that they've kind of been showing as main-ish characters, like they're supporting characters, they get a lot of screen time. They all come up to him at lunch. Mm-hmm. And they make a point of like, oh, yeah, you can eat anything. You can eat as much as you want. You can pig out. And then the next person that walks up is like a bigger girl by Japanese standards. And it's like, oh, sensei, there you are. And I was like, wow, I got to do that girl dirty like that right when you're talking about food. You could have like introduced her a little bit later, something like that.
No, it was pretty good. It got a little bit of a chuckle out of me because I thought I was on purpose too.
I mean, it definitely was on purpose on there. It's like that Thor meme where it just kind of pops in the frame and she just kind of comes in the frame at the same time there.
Yeah. Yes, there's a lot of talking. I don't think the talking is bad though. Bad or boring.
I'm not saying it's bad. It's just too much.
No,
This is a guy that liked season 1 of Inspector where we spent 2 episodes sitting talking to a snake.
I didn't like it. I didn't think it was bad.
I will go back through these tapes and pull up here like, oh, I liked it. It was great.
I mean, I'm willing to listen to people sit and have a conversation, though. I'm sorry that your little brain is like, ooh, there's not enough sparkles.
I'm not saying there's not enough sparkles. I'm saying the problem is they're sitting there and there's frames where I'm getting bored because they're sitting there, only their mouth is moving. The entire rest of the frame is stationary. It's like, you guys should have added something. Like you see higher quality animes where like they still do stuff. They might put some hand motions in, move their head a little bit when they talk. It just gets boring. Which is the same person talking over and over and over again.
I mean, look, one person's opinion versus, which is very much the minority opinion.
No.
Currently rated 8.13.
Yeah. I'm not saying it's like dog shit. I'm just saying the episodes are boring. Like, they got better when they started adding action. I'm saying you can't come off of a whole bunch of action from season 1. You do some OVA stuff that's still great. And then you get to this and it's like, we're just going to sit and talk.
You can when you haven't watched basically 26 episodes in a row.
Oh, now it's because I watched 26 episodes.
I mean, you did. You binged everything, and then in comparison, like,
I know for a fact,
I watched this when it came out, and season 1 was in 2017.
Yeah.
So, like...
So you're going to come back and not have any hype for it at all, or like big things that are happening.
It's just continuing directly on.
Well, yeah, but it's still like you can add something to kind of make it. I'm just saying add some more to it, even in a normal conversation. Because sitting there like, yes, we're going to college. Oh, she's going to college? Okay, we'll go to college. Yep, this is college, all right? It's like...
That shit happened in season 1.
It did, but at least they added some other stuff to it.
Ah.
They upped the animation quality, and I feel like some of the dialogue has just suffered for it. They could have added something like a hand motion or something to make it more interesting. Because even when they're sitting sitting at the lunch table, they're like, Sensei, I got some questions for you. And she stays in that pose, keeps talking to Sensei, and it's like a 30-second scene. It's like, add something else to it.
No, I didn't think that at all. Like,
agree to disagree.
I think you're on crack.
Agree to disagree. Because I know at the beginning of this season, this was like a 8-8 or something. Now it's at an 8-1. It's like, it's going down. I mean, we'll have to see how. Maybe the next couple episodes will get better. I haven't read ahead. Have you read ahead at all?
No, I didn't read this one. This is...
I just want to make sure you didn't read ahead, so if we speculate on what's going to happen, you can't throw something out.
No. Specifically, the third episode, where you're like, ooh, something should happen. Something definitely happened right at the tail end of the third episode, where they're walking away and she just is suddenly transported into a different area by herself with, well, I say by herself. She's always got Ruth with her.
That's a dumb name for a dog. I'm going to name you Ruth.
Well, it's a person.
I mean, it sounds, listen, he's a dog person. Well, wasn't he right? If I remember correctly, he was a dog, and then his Chimera form, he was put into person form because he was a dog. He was a dog that watched after the little girl, whatever because he calls her sister, but that's him. So he's always been a dog, but then he was turned into a person. So he's a dog at the end of the day. He's a dog that can turn into a person.
Yes, technically.
As someone that just watched all 26 episodes.
Yeah, well, the dog is always there, always in Chisei's shadow. So, like,
he's always there, and then Elias can always technically be there too, in the shadows-ish.
Yeah, but the man's getting feelings. He's, like, having emotions and stuff, and he's not used to that.
No, I'm having this, what do you say? I have this feeling like I need to hit the internals of my body or whatever, because he's got feelings on there. Speaking of hitting people, hey, Mashle. Dude, you got to watch it. I got to figure out a way to convince you. I mean, I watched 30 episodes. I'll just stop watching Magus then.
You put in all that effort. If you want to stop,
I will say you should watch Mashle, not because it's rated pretty decently. First of all, it's a action comedy. How it's an action comedy fantasy altogether. The main plot line of this is, first of all, discrimination is a big part of this whole world. So on the cover photo, I was wondering why they had that Dr. Stone kind of thing, because I never read the manga for it, because the manga was super popular and everyone was excited for this to get, or I don't know if it was a manga or if it was like a visual novel, something like that. So Mashle, everyone's got markings on their face, right? And everyone's born with that, which means you can use magic. And you find out, I think at the tail end of episode 1, and Mashle, the reason why his dad has kept him hidden away, or I think it's like middle of episode 1, middle. His dad, which you found out really isn't his dad, it's just a guy that adopted him. He was abandoned as a baby. So Mash was abandoned as a baby because he has no markings on his face. And everyone has the markings on their face. They might have some more on their body, but from what I could tell, they don't see a marking on your face. That means you're not blessed by God. You don't have magical powers and you're a lower form of society. He goes to buy cream puffs in town on there. And it's pretty well established at the beginning of the show. He doesn't have any markings. He has no magical abilities, but he's really good at working out. And I'm going to show you a GIF on there.
I mean, I've seen a bunch of GIFs of him just like spinning giant weights with his hands and doing like the Russian, like yeah, I've seen a bunch of GIFs of it.
Oh yeah, this GIF specifically, or this video specifically. So I'm showing Justus the one where he's just working out. Yeah, that's his whole thing, is he's just super strong. And I was like, oh, they're playing him off as like, yeah, he's really, really strong. Yeah, there are scenes in the show where they're like, oh, you need to get through this maze because he's trying to get into this wizard school. And the whole point,
because he punches through the wall.
Yeah, he's like, it's a meter thick of concrete, and you hear like a poof, 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 and he punches through like 20 of them to get through this maze. Everyone's pissed because he technically cheated to get through the maze, but he's like, hey, you just said I had to get out of this maze. You didn't say how I had to get out of this maze. So the boy is not blessed. So there's 4 key things you should know about this character. He's not blessed with magic, so he can't use magic. But he's really good at working out and being good at working out. He's really, really, really good at fighting, but he is so dense. And there's a point in the show where he gets convinced to join the Quidditch club. It's not called the Quidditch club, but it's basically Quidditch. That's how I could say it. They're basically flying around on brooms, throwing balls through goals. Quidditch. And they're like, hey, you should join. I heard you're really cool first year. And he's trying to tell him he can't use brooms. And there's a point in the show where our character is so dense, right? Mash is so dense. He's like, this guy's denser than I am. And I'm like, so Mash knows he's dense. He should figure these things out on there. But within the 3 episodes, you meet everyone. Mash goes through the whole acceptance or the whole trials to join the school. It's the top school in the country for wizards. So he has to get in, but less than 3% will be accepted. And there's like thousands of people that show up on there. And the only reason why he's doing this is the police found out Mash doesn't have a scar or have a mark on his face. They show up to his house. Mash destroys all of them on there. And the guy's like, well, I could report this to the Bureau of Magic and they'll come and trace you down. Or you can become a divine deity, I think is what it is. Basically, you're like the top person in the country for magic. They pick one a year from the school, and they're supposedly blessed by God with their magic powers. Because magic is associated with God in the world. It's a whole religious thing. So that's what Mash is trying to do, is just to get this. And to get it, you have to collect enough coins and do well enough in academics. But they keep, in all 3 episodes, they leave out one key thing. They're like, oh, and then they cut away from it. So I wonder if there's something else that goes with it. But Mash really loves his dad. I don't think he knows his dad is not actually his dad on there. And the character is hilarious because he doesn't know how to... He's also a meathead because he doesn't know whether or not to pull or push a door open. So he keeps breaking doors. He's like, pull, push, that's too much work. And just bust through the door every single time. And he's fighting people, and people try and like... The number 3 guy in the school pulls out his wand to fight him once he fakes the maze thing. So I'm going to destroy you once and for all. And Mash walks up, grabs his wand, and just crushes it. And there's times where people shoot like basically fireballs at him, and he's just like, nah, swats it out of the air. So I'm excited. You should want... I don't know how to sell it because it's all funny, like little kind of things that just add up on there. You haven't said anything, so I don't know if you're enjoying it or not enjoying it, or you got questions.
It sounds boring, man.
It sounds boring until you watch it, man.
Like, even
when you describe Vinland Saga, it sounds boring as fuck, and I'm just like, I don't know if I want to watch it. But I know it's more fun if you watch it. Like trying to describe everything at once.
Look, even all of the GIFs, the trailer, like everything that I've seen about it, it still just doesn't do anything for me.
Says the guy watching Farmville Simulator for 5 episodes.
I know that it gets good.
This will get good on there. The problem is you're only watching GIFs and people pull like the little tiny bits out of it, and you don't get to see the whole overarching thing.
Well, all I'm hearing from you is dense muscle head.
Here, this is the synopsis of it. Dense muscle head with no magic goes to academy to be the top magic mage.
Yeah, and it's just not for me.
You go describe one of the shows then.
Tonikawa, horn dogs, but cute.
Yeah, it sounds lame.
I know.
It's hard when you're trying to describe it. Listen, I'll say Mashle. You have to watch it, and if you like it by episode 2, you'll just like the whole thing. I feel like episode 1, they always have to throw that whole like, this is the world, these are the characters, this is what's going on. Boom, done. Episode 2, then you actually get into the like story building of the whole thing. So if you get the chance, give it a try on there.
Yeah, I was just maybe like later, probably not. This season.
Season 2 is not that great so far.
It's more of the same exact stuff. You watched episode 0. I didn't because I was like, oh, that's some like recap bullshit stuff.
He did one quick internet search and
shit.
Everyone probably watched the first 30 seconds and then quit. Because it's like fair. It's like a minute. No, it's not. Like every time we've watched recap, like there's been recap episodes, like here's episode 13.5. It's like, well, if it says 13.5, you kind of know it's a recap. Click into it. There's been a couple where they've added 1 or 2 extra scenes. But this one, I just clicked on episode 0 because I'm like, why is there an episode 0? This seems weird rather than like a 0.5. And there was some stuff in there I don't remember. And then I think it was only the first minute was recap. Then there was the opening because they did an opening in the first episode, which is also kind of weird.
And was it a different opening?
No, it's the same opening. Oh. Well, you mean like different opening from season 1 or a different opening from now? It's the same same opening from season 2.
Okay.
On there, I will say Ancient Magus Bride has a pretty nice ending theme. I forgot to mention that.
I do appreciate because again with Ancient Magus Bride, they got the same artist to do the opening. I thought that was a nice little touch. But with Tonikawa, yeah, dude, I didn't want to watch this, but we needed something for the C list, and eventually
he only had to do things on it. So I was like, okay.
Oh, well, we could have shifted other things and just had a little bit of a shorter season.
No, we make offer more content, Justus. That's the whole point.
If we didn't spend an entire day watching just shows, we could put out other content. Tell me I'm wrong.
Someone's editing this.
We
gotta edit this. This is why I don't have time for anything else. I gotta watch it all. That's my defense. It takes 5 hours to edit all this.
Only because you want it to now. If it takes 5 hours and you're not adding anything else other than just making cuts, you're wasting time.
We're gonna have a serious talk after this.
There's nothing of value added here. Cool. We got introduced to a teacher who's in the middle of.
That's a matter of some person's opinion. There's nothing of value here. So they talked. So they sat and talked a lot, Justus.
They did. How do you feel about it? Did you think it was boring?
Yeah. My record still stays. A lot of talking with almost nothing happening. There's only 2 interesting things that really happen. Them talking about wedding plans because they actually went into detail, and then he realizes how much it costs to do a wedding and you got to spend a year planning it.
Yeah, he's an idiot on that part where it's like, how do you not realize weddings are expensive?
But then you think back in season 1 where he was just like a study book kid and never really paid attention to anything else. Kind of adds up compared to us over here. You always hear about it because weddings over there I don't feel like are as huge of events than what they are here, because we saw like 5 or 6 weddings walking around I guess I saw because I went solo one day back to the Mizu shrine or Mizu-in. I don't remember what the actual name of it is.
Meiji Jingo.
Yeah, they basically just line people up, picture, and then they're just gone. They didn't even walk around the rest of it. They were just out of there. So I don't know how Japanese weddings work, but it just seems like it's very quick, kind of to the point, decent ceremony, but it's not like a Catholic wedding in the U.S. where you're going to be there for 2 whole days.
Yeah, my uncle does weddings, and like he's a ordained minister, and thankfully it's not 2 hours. they very much like he sits down and has that approach of like 20 minutes.
I don't know. The only other things that happen in this episode is you run into like some of his old buddies from high school. They portray them as cousin, whatever. They make him look like he's Yakuza, and he describes everything in a Yakuza way.
He has henchmen.
Yeah.
They're wearing suits.
And then they made a point to say these kids are in high school.
Yeah.
It's like, are they really though? Are we really in high school? It's like, pull the car around. It's like, sort of, these guys driving the car? Because I don't think they're old enough to drive this car.
Probably not.
Because they're even in a pet store. It's like, first, okay, what do I need? I need to grab the white powder and the cutter. And it's like, no. You need the kitty litter, and it needs to not have these 5 things. And I'm like, I never thought about that with kitty litter. I just buy it, and I was like, they'll use it. These cats use just shit and corn on the bar, and they don't care what they poop in. They just need a tray with something in it.
Yeah.
Just feed them whatever, and they just eat it.
Yeah, they were at the vet, and some of the vet techs over in the corner are like, what the
Are they
fuck?
doing crimes over here?
Yeah. At least NASA's aware of how his cousin like says stuff, because he's like, you need to work on your descriptions of things. Ginga is his name.
I wonder on my anime list, was his wife's name before episode 1 ended her original last name, or did they add this later? Because they have the same last name now. Because the guy walks in like, I need to speak to Yuzaki. And he's like, I'm Yuzaki. It's like, no, you're not. Yuzaki's a boy. I need to speak to him on there. And then they're trying to convince him, like, you got to pay to use the bathhouse, or you got to leave. He's not going to use it. She's like, you need to pay 500 yen for the bathhouse, 1,000 yen for the spa, 500 for a towel, or bundle deal for 1,300. And it's like, give me the bundle deal. Here's 1,300. Here's your ticket. Now go find him. She's a pretty good sales rep.
Yeah. For my anime list, it looks like season 1 still just uses the same last name.
I'm wondering, like, after episode 1, did it change? Like, did people upload it and then it I have no idea. I just want to kind of know, like, was it a cool thing where people actually changed it? Maybe they did. And now the teacher's dating someone. His old teacher that also did a house visit 'cause she thought he was in with a gang, which is why he got married so quickly, finds nothing. She gets invited to go to this amusement park. The same, like, before our boy and his wife go to the amusement park, they all end up finding each other at the amusement park. Then they have that moment of like, oh, we're keeping them from their date. Teacher doesn't technically realize it's a date, then realizes it's a date.
I think the only enjoyable part was where they both start doing like a goalie type, or not a goalie, announcer. Like,
I was like, is he going in for the Helene hold?
Yeah.
Oh, misses it.
Yeah, like no goal. That's why I thought goalie, where it's like that part was kind of humorous. But
then she goes in for the hand hold. It's like, oh, who'd have expected a goal from the other side? I said it once for Tonikawa season 1. First half was super boring. Second half, I felt like it was way more interesting. And if they're going to do the same thing in season 2, if they come out with a season 3, I'm not going to watch it. You can't make the first half extremely boring and then the second half like super interesting. Because like we've said, if you're 3 episodes in, I'm 4 episodes in, and I'm still like, it's all right.
The problem is it's a lot of the same, and there's nothing that's ever really been resolved. Because I remember, like, in season 1, there's that weird little, like, she has a secret kind of backstory.
And they haven't mentioned that really at all.
Yeah.
This season.
Yeah. So certain stuff like that. And I don't even know manga-wise, like, how much it gets brought up, where it's like,
because you think she's from the past, right? Is kind of the thought.
Oh, she, like, survived getting hit by a car with...
Well, they keep having flashbacks, and then she knows a lot about, like, ancient castles. It's like, is she, like, a demon spirit coming back to, like, the modern time or something like that?
Yeah, certain stuff like that where it's like, so you guys gonna touch on that just a little bit more?
Because it's now what they're developing. Oh, there was a point where he kind of dicked her down. Was that a dream, or I can't...
Oh, right near the end, they get, like, extra cuddly in the
Well, I think it was episode
futon.
2. No, when he's taking off her socks.
No, I wasn't thinking
He's taking off her socks, and then they start, like, making out. I was like, yo, where is this going? This is
this supposed to be they're like,
movie.
Hey, cat, stop looking.
No, before that. It was before that. That was definitely not episode 0. I think that was episode 1. Where I can't remember what he wants. He wants to see her because she's wearing like a sailor uniform that day. It's when they're making her try
That is definitely 0 because that wasn't in 1.
No, I'm trying to think of when it was because I think it was after that. But she's in like thigh high socks. He takes it off. He starts like roping her leg, kissing her. And then he's like pushing her to the ground. And I'm like, and she's like, stop. And I was like, what are we watching right now? And she's like, you can take off my other sock. and then they cut away. And then, like, as they cut away, you don't see him anymore. She's like, can you stop licking my leg? I'm like, what the hell is...
That was not in any of the episodes
Okay,
I
then
watched.
it's in episode 0, which is why you should watch it. And I don't know why that's in there.
I don't... I feel like nothing of value is...
I mean, it made it somewhat... Listen, I'm saying right now, episode 0, fun. If that was episode 0. Like, interesting stuff actually happened.
Mm-hmm.
Episode...
I still don't get the whole episode 0 thing. Like...
I don't know. What do you want from me? I don't produce stuff in Japan.
That just feels
what
like
do
one
I
of
know
those,
about
like,
movies and TV shows?
absolutely nothing, which is why your opinion is wrong.
So they talked a lot and it was boring. Huh.
Well, I mean...
I thought about ending it there, but I don't know if you have anything
there
else.
are some Oscar-nominated movies that are just that.
Yeah. There's some slow years in the Oscars.
Banshees of Inisherin? That one was this year. It was pretty good.
There's a lot of movies that are nominated that are just terrible.
Look,
Justice.
I enjoyed that movie. I'm sorry. It's done by the same director that did In Bruges.
The Titanic was nominated. You know what was great about the Titanic? The last 20 minutes and everything else was boring as hell.
Really?
Dude, the Titanic sucks. Like, everyone's like, that's
He
a great...
needs too much action. You're over there like, Top Gun, Top Gun.
No, it's literally, if you go back and you watch the Titanic, it's a great, slow rom-com, but you watch it, it's like, you watch it more than once, right? And you're like, man, this is kind of like just a terrible story of like two kind of shitty people.
Do you think Dances with Wolves is boring?
No, I actually really enjoyed Dances with Wolves. What? I really enjoyed it because it actually has a good story that keeps you engaged, and it's kind of new, it's kind of fresh, it's kind of its own thing. Fresh for I think the time. It's like, how old is that movie? Like 20-something years, over 30 years
Yeah,
old?
some shit like that.
How old
Like
is
it's
Dancing
real.
with- I'm gonna look it up.
Real
This-
old. Dances with Wolves is real old.
Is it Dances with Wolves or is it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's Dances with Wolves, right? Or
Yeah, Dances with Wolves. When did this come out?
probably like 92.
Sheesh, 33 years old. 1990.
Oof.
That's pretty good. I thought Valkyrie was really good, and that's 95% talking. Operation Valkyrie with
Yeah,
Tom
but that's
Cruise.
like
suspenseful.
well, it's
They
different.
balance- no, they
It's got
balance this-
Tom Cruise, and you're like a World War II nut, so like your interest is
Yeah.
already kept. So
So I got to watch a movie that I have zero interest prior to it to be good. Her was a good movie with what's his
well,
name?
you're just looking at your own future at that point.
Did you watch her? I think the sticker's still on my fridge from Iowa State when they were airing it. Okay, we're not talking about anime anymore. That's all I got this week. That's Matt. That's Justus.
Yeah. Our C list is a mix of like
Trash.
Ancient Magus Bride is good. I like Insomniacs After School.
Now, that's a good show that didn't have a lot of action. It was like 80% talking, and it was good because it was interesting, and they actually added stuff to it. Like, they're just not sitting there two mouths only.
Insomniacs After School?
Yeah, it was only those
See,
two.
He says it's good. Oh, you're boring. Mid. I gotcha.
Well, I mean, yeah, it was still kind of boring, but it was better than Megas.
No.
100 times better.
No.
100 times better.